Our guest is the actor who played the evil Art the Clown on the slasher movie Terrifier. Papo com Helal is excited to receive David Thornton for a fun interview.
Slash my tires?
Well, he knows this is your car. He saw us getting into it earlier.
Hey, handsome!
Cut it out.
My friend wants your number.
Kill you.
Look, that guy was harmless. He was just some douchebag in a costume acting like a retard because it's Halloween.
What I want you to do now is just remain calm and stay on the line with me until the police arrive.
Well, David, very nice to have you here. Thank you for accept our invitation, our special invitation for this moment and interview about your work, about your film Terrifier. So, shall we begin?
Yes, sure. Thanks
It's
for
okay.
having
It's
me
okay,
on
Rod.
here.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks. The first
I'm
question
good.
is, how did you get prepared to play Art the Clown? We know Mike Giannelli played Art before, but in our opinion, you raised the bar for the character.
Mhm. Well, Mike did a fantastic job playing him originally. I say he really set the bar high for me, and I had some literally big shoes to fill. But that's part of what I did. I watched his performance a few times just so I could get the basic nuances of what he originally created for the character, the certain mannerisms that he had. And then I basically took my love for silent film actors and clowning and physical comedy and added that into the character more so than what he had done, because I know that was something Damien really wanted more of. So that's what I did. I just, I took what he did and just built upon that great foundation he left me.
Nice.
And again, you really raised the bar.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I think
being very
thank you,
respectful to Mike's work, of course, but you did raise the bar.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And how did you get involved with Terrifier? Were you approached by someone?
I came across an audition notice online for it, of all places. It was just, I was in this whole period of my life where I had taken a few months off of working just to focus on auditioning, and I was actually auditioning for a bunch of musical theater shows at the time, a lot of Broadway tours, and I had been up for 4 different tours and final callbacks, and they all fell through for one reason or another. And I had never done film before in this degree, and I was like, you know what? I saw this this notice for an actor they needed that was tall and skinny that had physical comedy experience or clowning experience, and I'm like, oh, this sounds perfect. I'm like, I don't know if I'll get it, but hey, might as well. So I contacted my agents to submit me, and they submitted me for it, and the rest is history. And it's one of those things I realized, if I had gotten in any of those tours, I wouldn't have even been able to audition for the film, let alone be in the film. So I think everything worked out the way that it was supposed to. I've learned basically in this career, just like sometimes you have to just trust the fates. Things are going to happen the way they're supposed to happen. So you just go with the flow and just try your best.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I love the art because he's mysterious, but a little bit funny and scary
yeah.
for us. About the process, David, how long does it take for you to become art? Is the makeup process long for you?
Yes, it takes about 3 hours to put all that makeup on my face. It's one big prosthetic piece. It's made of gelatin. It's a mask that Damien has made, and he glues it all down to my face. And the funny thing is, it's a mask that was actually made off of the mold of Mike Giannelli. He had made a mold of myself, but he could never get the sculpt to look the way he wanted it to look that was on the original mold. So he's just having to basically mush everything into the right places on my face so it lines up perfectly. But we've gotten it down to a science now. So it takes about 3 hours because he has to first glue it all down, and then he has to paint everything and add all the blood splatters, because that's one of the biggest pains, is trying to get all the blood splatters to match up from different days of filming, because we don't film all in order, and we use a new mask every single time we film.
And do you have something about art in your home, a mask or a photo to show to us? If you want to show us.
I have a Blu-ray.
Okay, Rod had the Blu-ray.
There we go. Yeah, I have all kinds of things, but I have all kinds of like artwork that fans have given me at conventions. I have a few masks as well from different studios that have, our Trick or Treat studio mask, and also the Immortal mask that's like a $600 mask that they made that they sell. So that one I keep in its box because I don't want that to get damaged.
Yeah, no, I would that too. I would do the same. Okay, so about horror movies, what is your favorite scary movie, and who is your favorite horror movie villain?
Oh wow, I don't have a favorite horror movie of all time because there's so many different types of them, and I like them all for different reasons. But I will say like my top 5 in no particular order are like the original Halloween, Omen, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Exorcist, and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3: Dream Warriors.
Whoa.
Which leads me into my favorite horror villain. I would say it's bar none Freddy Krueger. I think that is the most creative, scary, and charismatic villain that's ever been created, because it's like, all these other villains, they're in the real world basically. So, you can get in a car and drive to a different state to get away from Mike Myers or Jason, and, you can probably get away from him. Freddy, he's in your dreams. And everybody has to sleep. If you don't sleep, you're going to die. So that's a horrifying prospect. And plus, since everything takes place in your dreams, the possibilities that they can do with him are endless, because it's all dreams. So that you can think of anything, and he could do it with Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So funny that Dream Warriors is also my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and Halloween is my favorite horror movie. I love Michael Myers.
Mine too.
And one of the reasons for that, we both love Halloween, and one of the big reasons for that is because Michael is silent, and I tend to enjoy silent characters because you don't know what's in their mind, it's difficult. But I love the chatty Freddy too a lot. I feel like Freddy knows how to scare. How to say that? He knows how to deliver good quotes to scare people.
Right. He knows how to really manipulate people and mess with their mind, and he toys with his victims, which that's what I like about him. Is that's what Art does too. He likes to toy with his victims.
Yeah, true. It's so funny because I remember when I was watching Terrifier for the first time, and I was like, there's the first scene, during the pizzeria, the pizza place scene. It was so odd because you knew that Art was a bad person, but at the same time Art was being charming. You get like, is this a good guy or a bad guy? I mean, it gives us that sensation that you don't know exactly what he's capable to do and what he wants to do. Yeah. So I love that scene, that very first encounter between the girls and Art. To me, that scene is precious because it got like, is it evil or I just love that scene. Yeah.
That's my favorite scene too. I think that scene, you don't need any explanation of the character. That scene sets up everything you need to know about the character right there.
Yeah.
And Art was not the only clown that you played. You played the Joker before.
I was actually cast playing the Joker and Art in the same week.
Whoa!
For that web series I played the Joker on called Nightwing Escalation. So that was like, wow, I get cast as 2 killer clowns in the same week, and they're so much different from each other too.
Wow.
Because Joker's all about the grandiose monologues. He's all about his ego and just yakking, and Art's the total opposite. But they also have a lot of similar qualities. That they're very mischievous characters that really like to toy with their victims in that way. So so I did put a lot of Joker type qualities into art in that regard.
Still about challenges, I believe playing a complete silent characters can be difficult. Did you have to control yourself a lot to not say a word when filming the scenes in Terrifier?
I did. Actually, the harder thing for me was not necessarily saying words because I didn't have lines. I basically just did all of what I would say what art would be saying in my head. So I had something to go off of internally. So I was like, okay, so when someone does something to him, he's cussing them out or something like that. So you would still kind of see his intentions being read with his eyes and his facial expression. So you knew what he was thinking. But I would say the harder part for me was not making sounds when I was having to, when I was getting hit by things or I was having to exert any type of force, so I couldn't do any grunts or anything like that. And I intentionally tried my best not to do that on set too, because for one, it makes things easier for the sound editors. Number two, it gives the actors more to go off as well, because if I'm being totally silent in that moment, it gives them that little extra something to play off of. So I would say that was actually the hardest part.
Yeah.
Wow.
And people mention like the times where you see me get stabbed and I'm screaming in pain, but there's no sound coming out. And that's exactly how it was on set. I would scream in pain without sound coming out.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. If Art could say a word, what would you think he would say? A word or a sentence? What do you think?
Shut up.
Shut up. Yeah. Very nice.
Just shut up. And when they're all screaming, oh, shut up.
That's a good one.
Yeah, very good. Do you want to ask the next question or?
Yeah. Why not? Well, before
Because
horror,
I'm seeing that David is a very funny guy, and the next question is about the comedy movies and horror movies. So here we go.
That's about comedy. I mean, you started with comedy, right? So
Yes.
So how was that for you? And do you think it's easier to make someone scream or to make someone laugh?
That's a great question because, I've done comedy my whole entire life. So it's something that kind of comes naturally to me. I come from a funny family too. So it's just that's like my mom's side of the family. They're all so funny. And I come from a family of English teachers. So they have a mastery of the English language. And one of my favorite things are puns. I love to just riff on puns. If you've ever followed me on Facebook, I love to sometimes get in pun offs with my friends. And I've never been beaten, but I love comedy. That's what I've always done, and I never imagined I would do horror. I was like, I figured if I was ever in a horror movie, I would be like the Randy type character from Scream that got killed off halfway through. I'll be like the smart ass or something like that. So, but I would say making someone scream is a little bit easier than it is to make people laugh because it's especially so many films are all about the jump scares and stuff we don't try to rely on jump scares with us, so we're trying to go for more of the creepy aspect. And I've also kind of gone throughout my life always scaring people anyway. I like to just jump out at people and hide in places. I get very, very creative with that too. But there's like one time I dressed up like a zombie because my roommate was afraid of zombies, and I hid in our shower. And when he was on a date one night, so I didn't know when he was going to get back, and he comes back from his date and he goes in the bathroom. Thankfully, goes number one because I'm in there, and he's washing his hands, and I pull back the curtain and start scared. I've never heard the guy scream like that in my life. I love doing that kind of stuff. It's so those are two things that kind of come naturally to me. But I would say comedy is so much more subjective. Different things you never like growing up and doing stage work. From audience to audience, audiences react differently to different jokes. So you never know what's going to make people laugh. And that's also the challenge about doing comedy or even horror on film is when, as opposed to theater, you have an audience there when you're doing live theater. So you can judge what's working right there in the spot and know, okay, cool, this is getting a laugh. I can keep playing with this further and go a little bit further with this and push it a little bit further. With film, you don't have an audience. You have the crew, but they have to stay silent. So you don't know if something's funny or if something's scary in that moment. So you have to just kind of take a gamble there, like, well, we hope the audience is going to find this as nearly as amusing or nearly as scary as we're hoping. But I would still say comedy is a little bit tougher. Comedy, I've heard this said that drama is so much easier to do than comedy. I know a lot of dramatic actors that are horrible at comedy. And it's just like I've had friends that are like, I don't know how you do it. How are you just this way? I'm like, I don't know. It just comes to me naturally. It's a gift.
When did you decide to start acting? Did you want to be an actor when you were young?
I did. I actually started acting at a very, very, very early age because my parents were heavily involved in our church's theater, which is kind of ironic what I do now. I started off doing shows about Jesus and all these Bible characters, and now I'm killing people. And, you know, as you do, you know, it's like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, I did it basically all my life. I did church theater. Then I went up and started doing community theater later on when I was in like high school. And it's just something that I found I really enjoyed doing because I was bullied a lot growing up. And it was when I was in middle school, my mom, you know, she's like, I was very shy because I went to a new school where no one knew me. And I was the easy target. I was very short because I was very late to puberty. So everybody else had hit puberty. I was like 5 foot tall at the time. Glasses, braces, you know, high-pitched voice, sang in the choir, sucked at sports, so easy target growing up in Alabama, of all places. And so I was very quiet, and people picked on me all the time. And my mom was, at home, I was totally different. I was always funny and cracking jokes and being crazy and all that. And my mom's like, oh, have your classmates ever seen the side of you? And I'm like, no. It's like, well, why don't you get involved with doing theater? Because I know how much you like doing theater. They're doing Mickey's Christmas Carol this year in your choral program. Why don't you audition for that? I'm like, okay. And I did. And I got the part of Mickey Mouse / Bob Cratchit. And we had, during our performance, things just started going wrong on stage. Like the set fell down on top of Scrooge and I at one point when we're doing the Cratchit scene with the family with the little meager little chicken that we have on our table. The table broke and the chicken goes flying out into the audience. Catapulted. No. And in all these type of situations, I would just start riffing and just start cracking jokes in character about the situation. And I had the audience just eating out of the palm of my hand. And it was like a light bulb just went off in my head. And I'm like, I like this. I need to do this. This is what I need to be doing with my life. Because for once people were laughing with me instead of at me. And I'm like, this is a wonderful feeling, and I'm bringing so much joy to these people. Like, I think this is what I want to do. And so that's when I really started amping up my game and wanting to get involved in doing theater.
Well, the next question is a fan favorite question. You know why? Because we have to ask about the Terrifier 2. We know there's a new Terrifier movie coming soon. Yes. Are the plans still targeting 2020, or did the pandemic interfere on the filming or post-production of this sequel?
That's a very, very good question to ask right now, especially since they recently announced the postponement of the new Halloween film.
Yes.
So it's just like, unfortunately, I'm going to be honest, because we haven't officially announced anything yet, but realistically, there's no way we're going to be able to get this out yet, because we still have parts of this film that we have to film, then we have to do all this editing, and then we have to go to try to find distribution for the film, which takes a few months to set all of that up, to get DVDs printed out, all that. So realistically, I don't see us coming out this year anymore, unfortunately, which I know, it breaks my heart. If it wasn't for this stupid pandemic, we would be good, because like right when we had to go in lockdown here in New York back in March, I would say we were about a week or so from being done with the film. And I was like, are you kidding me? We were up there debating on just staying there and powering through the rest of the film, but they just wouldn't let us do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
Oh no.
I hate
it's
this
so
year.
frustrating.
Oh.
Oh, this year sucks.
It-
2020 just sucks. It's
Just
like my
sucks,
whole
yeah.
year. My
I have to
whole
agree.
year has been shot. Like
Yeah.
all the conventions I was supposed to be doing this year have all been canceled and postponed, and it's just like it's this year sucks. It's
Big
ugh.
time. Oh my
Can
goodness.
we have a
Can't believe
do-over?
that. No. Oh my goodness, waiting for Halloween and Terrifier 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're trying to get it out as soon as possible.
Maybe Scream 5 in next year too. So Halloween.
Yeah, it's gonna be Terrifier 2.
Terrifier
3,
2. Whoa.
Oh yeah, it's
Halloween,
gonna be a
everything.
big year next year.
What can we expect of Terrifier 2? You can say something about it?
Oh yeah, I can say stuff about it. I can't reveal plot and all that kind of stuff, but I will say that I've always been giving it the nickname T2, as in like Terminator 2, because I look at Terminator and Terminator 2, like Terminator was great, but Terminator 2 just took everything from Terminator 1 and just took everything to a new level. They just went to new places, bigger. They went bigger, better, everything. It was just better about Terminator 2, and that's how we're kind of looking at Terrifier 2. It's like everything that you loved in Terrifier, especially art and the kill scenes, are still there, and they're even bigger. But then we've also taken the criticisms that we had, especially, I know some people were like, oh, there's not much of a plot. We've added more of a narrative element to it this time as well. And so it's more traditional in that way, that we actually have our protagonist, this fantastic female lead that we have. The character's name is Sienna, played by Lauren Lavera, who is absolutely just, I think everybody's just going to fall in love with her, because she's not your little damsel in distress type of heroine. She's a badass character, and you see her become that badass in this film too, which I love. And it's her character, and the relationship between her and her family, especially her little brother. It's just fantastic. It's a big part of this film, and you see how art is involved in all of that. It's crazy. The kill scenes in this, I would say, like the first 2 minutes of the film, you already know what kind of film you're gonna have.
Whoa.
Because
oh my goodness,
we start off with gore just out the wazoo, and it's just like, it's when we're filming this, like we just the first like hit I do on my victim, Damien makes the comments like, Dave, if this was in a Friday the 13th movie, that would have been the whole entire kill right there. And then we just keep going.
wow, no,
it's
I'm
and that's
very
how
excited.
all these kill scenes are. It's like we don't hold back on the gore. I mean, I think Damien recently said if we got an MPAA rating, it would probably be rated X. It would definitely be
my
NC-17. There's no way we'd even get an R on this, because all the gore that we have in this is vicious.
wow. So you're saying that you can take that particular scene in the middle of Terrifier 1 involving that particular blonde girl, and you elevate that bar.
Yeah, because that was a challenge we took upon ourselves. So because everybody's like, well, how are they going to top that? And we're like, well, because we were even like, oh God, how are we going to top that? I think we set the bar so high for ourselves. But like, well, let's go ahead and try it. Let's try to top that any way we can. And I will say at least 2 of the kills in this, I think, come very close to topping it, if not topping it, in just the viciousness.
Wow.
There's one kill in particular. It's just mean. There's nothing funny about it. Art doesn't even really joke with this kill. It's just, he's pissed, and it's a good kill. It's, oh my, Damien got nauseous editing it.
Wow.
If that tells you anything. And this is the guy that was raised on horror films. He's named after Damien from The Omen. So he's just like, he's the one that comes up with this stuff, and he was sitting there, he's like, I'm getting nauseous editing this, because what you're doing to this person is horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have to wait. I can't believe we have to wait.
We have to wait.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's gonna be worth it. It's gotta be worth it. You're not gonna be
I
disappointed.
bet. Yeah, I bet. So between Art and Pennywise, another very famous character, right? Who do you think that would win a battle?
Well,
If you put both,
yeah.
I mean, I know that Pennywise is like mystical and supernatural, and we don't know yet if Art is supernatural or not, right?
Yeah.
But let's say they're both like humans, right?
Yeah.
So who do you think that would win the
I
battle?
would say it would be Art for different reasons. For one, Art is just vicious and relentless. Two, Pennywise relies on scaring people. He wants to just, that's how he gets people. He gets in their heads and brings out their worst fears. Art doesn't scare easily. So that he would have an advantage over Pennywise right there. And I always like to say is like, if Art ever talked, that would be the one time he would talk, and he would just start trash talking Pennywise, and he would just defeat him like that. And he's like, you suck. No one's afraid of you. You're making all of us real clowns look like shit. You're not even a real clown. You're just pretending to be a clown. Yeah.
But that's a great answer. You're right. I mean, yeah.
I thought it out.
Yeah, no. That's a great one. I have to say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, about the supernatural thing, I don't know if I can talk about it, but the final scene of the original movie, the Terrifier 1, I wonder, and I was thinking about the supernatural part.
Yeah, I will say we definitely addressed that. There is a supernatural element, that for sure. You see that at the end of the first film, because you can't come back the way he did naturally. That's definitely supernatural.
Okay.
But I will also say that Art has a new confidence in himself now. That it's like, I kind of look at Terrifier as his origin story in some ways, where it's just like, okay, now he's like, oh wow, I can come back. So there's less trepidation, I would say, than he had before, where he's like, oh wow, now I'm really a force to be reckoned with.
So what are your plans tomorrow?
Meg and Melanie's throwing a Halloween party.
You think that guy's still out there?
What's up with you and this clown all of a sudden? You're like obsessed.
They never found his body. What if he decides to come back here?
I wouldn't worry about it. On the off chance that he is still alive, I'm sure he's gone far away from here.
Oh, just a big thank you. That's really what I want to say. It's just like we're able to do what we're doing for Terrifier 2 literally because of the fans. We did an Indiegogo campaign last year where our goal was only $50,000 and we raised over $200,000 in record time, and it was just like blew us away. And we didn't realize when we were making Terrifier 2, because we just wanted to go bigger and better. We didn't realize how expensive things were going to get. So that $200,000 has really helped us out and put us where we needed to be, especially for that one big, huge scene I was talking about. It's like we wouldn't have been able to do it without the fans. Literally, we would not have been able to do what we're doing with this film without the fans. And that's not just talking about the money, it's just the support and how they've been hyping up the film and getting the word out, because still we don't get mentioned by a lot of mainstream press. We get mentioned by fan sites and stuff like that. It's not because, the mainstream press are paid off by the studios to publicize. We don't have the money to publicize ourselves like that. So it's the fans that are getting the word out there and spreading the love of the film to everybody else. They've been the ones that have truly made us a success. So big thank you to all of you guys.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
very
you so
welcome.
much. Really, really, really thank you.
It's been
about
great chatting with you guys.
Thank you.